I hope you know what that is. You take like Wise County and all through the coal fields, the
Mhm.
coal field counties and stuff. We don't have a reporter from the Bristol Herald Courier or the Kingsport Time that covers us. Our local newspaper, we still have one, but it's very, very thin, and they pretty much use volunteers. So there's no hardcore reporting. There's not even reporters that show up at board of supervisor meetings to even ask the or ask questions that just need to be asked. So when you were talking about reporting news, it tickles me to death because we just need news coverage, and let you talk a little bit about what you've been getting into, and just tell me more.
Sure. So, like I said, I really think that it's important, as you described, that when there are news deserts, provisions can get passed that you might not be aware of. And it's often harder to remove things that have been put into place than it is to stop them before it gets put into place.
Absolutely.
And so, an example is in Abingdon, the town council in December had put out an sample ordinance where they were going to make it where require a permit to canvass politically. It also included salespeople and peddlers and that sort of thing. But we had really big concerns about this program because it limited the hours in which somebody could canvass. It limited your ability to leave literature. And so, those are all very clear First Amendment breaches. And not only that, a lot of the points that the ordinance were making were things that were already illegal. For example, they said, you can't enter somebody's backyard. Well, that's already trespassing. I don't need, and also no, I'm sure you both have canvassed at least once or twice in your lives. You don't go, like, even if there's a big dog, I don't go up to the front door. So I'm not gonna John Wick hurl myself over their back fence to like let them know about Cindy Green. I'll just leave a flyer on their front door. And so, bringing awareness to an issue like that's an issue that affects Democrats, Republicans, independents. And if
Libertarians. I mean, that's a yeah.
Libertarians, the Green Party, Jill Stein, when she appears every 4 years to run for president. But it's one of those things that, like, issues like that, or in Jonesboro, which is a little down the ways from us, but they have a processed uranium plant that's looking to expand. And believe it or not, some areas of Virginia, North Carolina, and a much larger area of Tennessee would be within a cloud of area that it would push uranium dust into the air. And they're allowed up to, they said it was something like 250 pounds of uranium dust a year. And that's just expected.
Mm.
That's just in the air. And so, that's an issue that, you might not necessarily be as far on the environmental scale as like Donald Trump, let's say, who mocks windmills and other sources of renewable energy. But like farmers don't want uranium being spilled into the river, and if there's a flood or something like that, that could just cause real problems. And so I think it's good to get the trust of everyday voters when you are trying to persuade them on issues that are more partisan. Because if I can build that credibility of like, hey man, I'm not here to lie to you. I'm here to tell you what's happening. And that actually kind of goes into my further thoughts on how Republicans message. But I really like that you guys are also focusing on local issues and getting more cross pollination, between content creators and, people that can provide, their lived experiences, or their, like, I'm not necessarily a native of Southwest Virginia, but I've lived here for the past 5 years. I spent my summers out here. My grandfather lives in this area. So, I'm my child was born here in Bristol. So we all have different experiences and we can speak to issues differently. But I think it's important, just to let people in this area know, like, hey, what's going on? What's going on in Richmond? What's going on in Bristol?